We are here today to talk about accountability, governance, and the protection of civic space in Nepal. Civic space and the active civil society organizations have a huge role to create or to preserve functional democracies, as they enable citizens to organize collectively, to speak out, to influence decisions of the government that affect their day-to-day lives, and to hold the government accountable. And by holding the government accountable, we can create a more responsive government and towards ensuring good governance. And in the process, we also empower the citizens, the people like you and I. My name is Milan Jung Katuwal, and I'm an MPP candidate, Masters of Public Policy candidate at the University of Delaware. And it's my pleasure today to be moderating this session hosted by NCID, Nepal Center for Integrated Development. And this is our first event under the Civil Society Dialogue series, which will organize a lot more discussions like these in the upcoming days. A few more notes before we begin. We have restrooms on the first floor, on the ground floor, right below the door. I would like to request you all to kindly turn off your mobile phones or put them into vibration so our conversations are not affected. So let me briefly give you an outlook of the scenario of accountability, governance, and civic space in Nepal and in South Asia. So there's a organization, South Africa-based organization called Civicus that has been keeping track of civic spaces globally, and its recent report indicates that the governments in South Asia have become increasingly repressive to our civil society. And in this light, although Nepal's situation is considered comparatively more tolerant, Nepal's government is seen comparatively more tolerant towards civil society. The report still indicates that the civic space is obstructed and the situation is not satisfactory. Of late, Nepal's pro-democracy activists and intellectuals are quite worried over the erosion of democratic principles and values in the country. If we look a few weeks back, Nepal's government's decision to ban TikTok and its proposal to ban other social media platforms indicate the intention of the government to limit free speech and spaces. Many people believe that Nepal's civic space has shrunk over the years due to excessive partisan and fear among intellectuals to raise critical questions against powerful politicians. As a result, it is said that the government has been witnessing a massive scale of mass frustration as consecutive governments have failed to assure accountability. In this context, today's discussion will focus on governance, accountability, and protection of civic space in Nepal. I'm quite pleased, and it's encouraging to see such young pool of participants joining us in today's important discussion. And now I'd like to thank you all again for being here, taking out your important time to listen to us, to listen to our panelists, and join in this discussion. In the end of our discussion from the panelists, we will have the floors opened for your questions for our panelists, and they will take time to answer to your queries and questions. For our event today, we have our session chair, Mr. Ramesh Adhikari, who's been a champion in the field of governance and accountability. He has with a career spanning over 3 decades, Mr. Adhikari has made significant contributions in the field of election and political process reforms, policy analysis, federalism, governance, and democracy. His distinguished professional journey includes collaborations with prestigious organizations such as USAID, ActionAid International, Danish Association for International Cooperation, and UNDP. I would like to welcome and thank Mr. Adhikari for being here with us today. For the discussion, we have invited 3 panelists. Among our distinguished panelists, we have Mrs. Manushi Yami Bhattarai. Mrs. Manushi is a leader of the Nepal Samajwadi Party. Starting her career from youth politics, she has long been involved in social justice movements of Nepal. I would like to invite you to take a seat on the stage. Among our other panelists is Mr. Pranav Bhattarai. Mr. Pranav Bhattarai is currently associated with Save the Children International Nepal as the project lead in its civic space strengthening project. Thank you for joining us today. Likewise, we have Mr. Siromani Dhungana. He is currently the editor-in-chief of Nepal Live Today. Mr. Dhungana has long been providing his insights on governance and accountability issues in Nepal. Hope we will have an engaging discussion here. This conversation will unfold in 3 parts. And let me start with the first round in which we will focus on the situation of Nepal's civic space and contemporary dimensions of civic participation in Nepal. Let's begin with Mrs. Manushi Yami Bhattarai. Recent reports suggest the shrinking of civic space in Nepal. Many believe that the government is also trying to control the freedom of expression. Social media regulation and ban of social sites can be taken as examples, as I pointed out earlier. In your opinion, has our civic space lost the rigor to raise voices of the ordinary people, or is it still functional?
Thank you so much, NCID and all of you who are present here. So, since we're discussing the shrinking civic space, I think we don't have to really look at the international records or anything. As public living in Nepal ourselves, what is important, I think, from my perspective, is to look at the question in terms of both time and space. So in relative terms, if we look at a few decades back, the notion of civic space then, under an autocratic or an authoritarian regime, undemocratic regime, was an entirely completely different picture than what the spaces that we are utilizing right now. So this long history of Nepal, which has a very rich tradition of public activism, public presence, public protest, it's because of that that we've been able to sort of stretch our civic spaces in recent times. But the problem is, civic space has, it's also a physical sort of a spatial dimension. In those terms, given our aspirations as young citizens of Nepal, of a democratic republic, New Nepal, our aspirations are not fulfilled satisfactorily because, one, in the physical dimension, we've been restricted to certain points. There are only certain areas where we can sort of display our protests, where we can gather, whereas constitutionally we've been guaranteed the fundamental right to, have a public gathering anywhere. But there have been repeated attempts to sort of physically delimit that, physically curtail that. And so, recently there was a Supreme Court ruling as well, when in 2018 the Kathmandu, District Administration Office had sort of issued a prohibitory, decision against gathering in Maiti Ghar Mandala. And there was a decision to restrict our protest spaces in certain areas. And recently the Supreme Court sort of overruled that. So the struggle is ongoing. The other aspect, I think, which should concern us all is that civic space is now not only a physical, visible space, it's also the digital space, right? So that's where I think our current leaders are absolutely clueless. The decisions that they're making these days about, the example that you just quoted about, banning TikTok, or I was recently listening to somebody from the Prime Minister's office, I think an advisor, the IT advisor or so to our Prime Minister, was talking about, okay, after TikTok, we are also sort of, other apps are also under scrutiny. Like, I don't know, Insta, so on and on and on, Snapchat and whatnot. So, and it was a young fellow who was saying this. And I think here, it's really disappointing that our leaders are not able to grapple with the new developments that are taking place in terms of people even engaging, displaying their civic rights, using their civic rights in the digital platform. And so, they're not able to, they think they can control it. And by definition itself, our civic rights and our fundamental rights to gather for, our civic demands for our civic rights, by definition itself, you can't curtail it. Right? It should be absolutely be free, independent, without any hurdles. Right? And that's something that our political leaders are having a very difficult time grappling with, and they're not acknowledging their lack of knowledge on these issues. And so, it's a very easy thing to ban something, and that's not the solution. And I think what is worrying for me, beyond the government's decision, was the widespread support that it got. That was more surprising for me. The government took one decision. In my opinion, it was an absolutely wrong decision. But even on the public digital platforms, there was a widespread support for it, which is now a question on civil society, on all of us. What have we been doing so far? So I think the curtailing of these civic spaces, from the policy making level, a lot needs to be done. I think they need to unlearn a lot of things and start asking the questions that, and I think they're asking the wrong questions and therefore reaching the wrong conclusions. But for the rest of us, who are part of the civil society in large, we need to also, I think, do our homework.
So, summarizing the points you made, our civic space has stressed historically,
yes,
but the position we are right now is still not satisfactory, and the question is still on the citizens like us who have failed to understand the power a civic space holds, or the importance of civic space in democracies like us. And now let me direct the question to Mr. Pranav Bhattarai. Let's try to understand what civic space is and what civic space has been in Nepal. By civil society in Nepal, let's begin here. Who or what kind of people or what groups of people are we mainly referring to in Nepal? What is civic space? How to understand it?
Thank you for inviting me as a panelist to give some thoughts on civic issues. When we talk about civic space as such, if we look at historically, it has transformed from physical to virtual or digital civic space. Previously, there used to be a physical sort of gathering to protest or to question the government. Now, large mass of people or youths, they are using digital platforms, digital civic space to question the government and to keep an eye on what government does. Right? So there has been a lot of transformation in the use of civic space. This is one thing I would like to highlight here. Another aspect is civil society as such is an umbrella term. It actually comprises different actors. So it refers to private sector, it refers to media, it refers to NGOs. Concept of civil society refers to quite a large number of actors. So when we talk about civil society or the use of civic space in Nepal, I would say, as you also mentioned earlier, the civic space has been obstructed, right, as the Civicus report says. But if we compare Nepal with other countries in South Asia, Nepal is still is in good position. So if we look at India, if we look at Bangladesh, if we look at Sri Lanka, if we look at other countries, we are better off in terms of using our freedom of expression and freedom of association, which has been guaranteed by the Constitution also. So this is one thing. Another thing is, civil society has transformed. If we look at the history of 20 years, it has transformed. Because 20 years ago, or even until 2006, there were some political agendas. Whenever there were big, or let's say significant political agendas, every segment of society used to come together for that. So in 2006, what we saw was everybody came to the streets against the monarchy. After that, what happened was, so down the road, we don't have many political agendas right now. So we don't see, that level of civic mobilization today, the way we used to see in 2006. Right? So the structure of civil society also has gone transformation. Right? We can see more, youths, indigenous people, community people protesting or taking to the streets in different parts of the country against different social issues. For example, if there is some sort of issue in Darchula, we can see people from Jhapa taking to the streets protesting that. If there are issues in, let's say, Jhapa, we can see people from Darchula taking to the streets. So the structure of the civil society itself has gone massive transformation in the last 20 years.
Let's talk about our participation mechanisms in civic movements or civic spaces or civil societies. What do you think? Do you believe that independent citizens, or let's say voiceless citizens, ordinary citizens, have been deprived of their spaces or deprived of the participation in civic spaces? Are we accounting for the voices of ordinary people in civic spaces? Or is it just some group of educated folks or people up in the hierarchy navigating or creating narrative, creating stories, or pitching their views? Do ordinary citizens have a say in the civic space in Nepal currently?
Currently, I should say ordinary citizens, individual people, let's say, they are participating in virtual civic space by using different social media platforms. That is one way they are expressing their frustration, keeping eye on what government is doing, or ventilating their dissatisfactions. Other way is, if you look at the legal parameters or let's say legal provisions, there used to be some sort of civic engagement platforms. They also exist today, but when Nepal was in unitary mode of governance, unitary mode of system, there were some of the civic engagement platforms were very vibrant. For example, a public hearing, public audit, social audit, there used to be, right? Local governments used to conduct them. And that were actually civic engagement platform for the common people at the community level. Right? They were making use of it. But when Nepal moved to federal system, the use of those civic engagement platforms have not been very much effective. The reason is, once we move to the federal system, many local governments are yet to formulate the laws, yet to formulate the guidelines on how to operate those kind of platforms at the community level. laws have provisioned it. If we look at Local Governance Operation Act, it has clearly mentioned it. Right? Every local government should conduct public hearing, to give platform to the citizens to raise questions, to share what they are doing in terms of service delivery and in terms of development works. But recently, some level of obstruction, some level of disturbance actually that has taken place because of our transition to federal system. So if we can advocate as a civil society for effective implementation of those platforms, it would in some way at least provide some sort of civic engagement platforms to the common people who can keep an eye on government action, development works, raise questions against development work. When there are issues in service delivery, they can use those platforms and raise questions. So
it is quite interesting or let's say concerning to learn of your observation that the civic spaces have actually shrinked or been less effective under a federal system. We'll come back to that, but before that, let me ask Mr. Siromani Dhungana, who's been a media person for many years and been advocating on the issues of governance and accountability and transparency. What do you think, how has the media sector in Nepal been able to close the gaps between civic groups and the government? How has the media been playing its role?
Okay, thank you very much for inviting us as the panelist of this very timely and relevant session. Actually, despite of the emergence of the digital platforms, we are here in the face-to-face conversation, which I think is very effective, and I'm really glad to be in front of young participant here. As far as your question is concerned, like other institutions in Nepal, most of the institutions have been compromised over the years, and so is the case of media. Resource constraint is observed in every sector, and media has been also witnessing unprecedented level of resource constraint, and as a result, media have, if you allow me to say very frankly, media has not been able to do their part, the level we expect from them. Having said that, has media done nothing? I say no. Media has done some of the really good and commendable work. The issues that have been discussed by public, most of the issues were in the public notice after media reported the issue. So, while talking about the role of media to promote civic space and civil society, primarily media as such is a platform that works or serves as a civic space, which theoretically we say freedom of expression, freedom of press, and freedom of assembly are core part of media, and media. That is why we say that media, how powerful media is indication of any democratic society, how powerful democracy is, and how powerful civic participation is. Media is true reflection of that. But due to corporate pressure, due to other type of censorship, and also partition among journalists themselves, have not been have resulted in the situation where there is still room to do better for media. And on the part of media also, federalism, the concept of federalism is not truly implemented in terms of media organizations, decentralization and other part. So in some cases we see some of the issues are over-reported and some are not so over-reported, or some of the issues are under-reported. So media should also pay attention on that part. And as we discussed earlier, a digital platform, emergence of digital platform is also, if we take it as a social media platform, a basic character or basic nature of the comment is same. For example, who is speaking out in social media? Those who are not well noted in the society. So are powerful or influential intellectuals are taking social media to express their grievances? No. There's a lot of people are mostly silent or have opted to remain silent to criticize the government. So on the part of social media as well, those who are not recognized by the state mechanism, they are speaking out, they are raising their concerns, but democracy is not just you ask the question. Democracy is not just about you raise your voice from your part. If your voices are genuine, if your voices, if you really raise question against even powerful politicians, but it makes sense, then the state needs to address that voices. Right. And on that part, media, I think there is room for media to improve. Yeah, to improve and to do some better reporting.
We have a very diverse mix of panelists here. If you've noticed, we have a politician, we have a media person, and we have someone from the social organization sector, NGO sector. So it is quite good. It's been a good conversation so far, learning of your experiences and opinions. Now I'm coming to the second round, where we will focus on governance and accountability with regard to civic participation and engagement. And I will direct this question to Mrs. Manushi Yami Bhattarai. So let us understand that the notion of accountability is directly related or linked to the idea of institutionalization of democracy. So we cannot expect state accountability where democratic values and norms have not been reinstated or flourished much. And there's also something called a society-wide culture that shapes the relationship between the citizens and government. So the institutionalization of this relationship between the government and citizen, where the government feel obligated to fulfill their duties towards their voters, and the voters also feel empowered to make demands to the authority. Where do you think the maturity of this relationship between the state and the government, where the government feels obligated to fully, wholeheartedly complete their responsibilities towards the state or the citizens, and where the citizens also feel empowered enough to question the authority without any fear?
Where is the majority, you see?
Where is the maturity of this relationship? How mature do you think?
Not really mature, because we are lagging pretty far behind in terms of institution building. We spent many years in drafting a new constitution, which was basically to do away with the old system, which was undemocratic, which was a unitary system, to transform it into a federal democratic republic. But the problem we have is, we have the main law in hand, which is the constitution. But in order to implement it, to actualize it, we need very specific laws. We need to make hundreds of laws. And those laws are going to strengthen, are going to give shape to our new institutions. So we did away with one set of old institutions, and we should have been we should have been focused in building a new set of institutions, which we did not do. Our politicians are not doing that currently. One of the reasons that very recently you had this uproar in Kathmandu, people demanding, actually the underlying issue was an economic issue, where thousands of people who were under financial crisis were outraged. But then the political form that was given to it was very anti-system, the current system, which is the republic, democratic system, federal system. But the reason that actually happened, the reason that a large number of people gathered in Kathmandu to question that, even in digital spaces you see that sort of engagement increasing, is because we've not been able to build these new mechanisms and these new institutions. So I would say that we are at a very infantile stage, and unfortunately it shouldn't have been so. Our parliamentarians should have been, their sole task as legislatures is to make these new laws, right? So even the education bill, which is now being proposed, there was supposed to be a discussion. It's not happened yet. I mean, there have been proposed amendments and so on and on. But it's still a panchayat era sort of education bill. The federal structures are not able to create their own education bills at the local and the provincial level because the federal level has not done its task. So there are so many cases where this institution building process has been hindered because of this lack of purpose on our politician side. I think there are two. I would like to add another point. One, see, everything cannot be institutionalized. In democracy, for a lively, dynamic sort of democracy, everything cannot be mechanized or institutionalized. How do you institutionalize public protest? How are you going to sort of try to institutionalize what you and I are going to express in the digital space? There are some things that are beyond what can be formalized in a democracy. Having said that, there are certain things that the government or the state does need to. So, because accountability means that there are going to be consequences, right? If you're not answerable, if you don't perform as you've promised, then there are going to be consequences. That's what accountability means. And in order to, so in simple terms, it would be, the prize and punishment. So either you get a reward for doing your work, or you get punished for not doing your work. That is the essence of accountability. So in order to do that, you do need to have certain mechanisms which will sort of bind the political parties and our political institutions to deliver. Now that is something that few works have been going on. For instance, I would say Election Commission at times comes with some very radical sort of, because I as a woman politician, I remember during the previous election that happened, a lot of talk about Gathbandhan, right? Pre-election Gathbandhan, yeah, I myself was a candidate from Gathbandhan. But in the local level election, before the elections actually happened, we noticed that, once Gathbandhan is going to once the alliance is going to take place, one party in the alliance is going to field their candidate for the mayor and the other party is going to do it for deputy mayor, and both of them are going to be men. We knew that was going to happen. So we went to the Election Commission, because that's where, then there has to be some mechanism to stop that, right? There has to be some law or some directive to prevent it, because our constitution explicitly says that ours is not only a democracy, it's a democracy of a specific kind, which is inclusive and participatory. Our democracy has to be inclusive and participatory. Now, it can't only be limited to words in the constitution, right? There have to be laws and directives that are actually going to make sure that it happens in reality. So we had gone to the Election Commission, and thankfully they had come with a new set of instructions, which the politicians obviously refused to accept, and they sent it back. And ultimately what happened today is, the proportion of women in the mayor and the deputy mayoral position is lower than our first election that had happened at the local level. So these mechanisms need to be there. They're there. They should be there to safeguard, our right to hold the government accountable. And so I would say that those of us, civil. In the previous answer to your question, I had focused on the civil society, our responsibilities as a civil society. When it comes to accountability of government, it's the same stress. But having said that, the onus is more on the political actors, I would say.
Now, let me pause you there and point you a question. But this question, this is for all of the panelists, and I would request all of the panelists to be direct when answering this question. Now, I will begin with yourself, being a politician. So let's talk about the wisdom and political maturity of leaders in our premature democracy. Now, can you fully entrust our present-day politicians with the use of office powers, with institutional and their personal integrity? Can you trust the wisdom and maturity of today's political actors of Nepal?
See, I wouldn't put all politicians in the same basket. This will lead to a very sort of a sweeping statement. And then where do we look for hope then? Right? We can't put everybody in the same basket. No, because there are areas where I have absolutely no hope. So there are certain, there's a monopoly. There are certain people within all the parties that hold on to that power forever and ever. They don't have fixed terms. Even if they lose elections, they can become the prime minister. We've had that in the past, right? So there's one element, one aspect of our political scenario where I have actually no hope. But there's another aspect, another area in our political scenario where I do have hope. I think in all political parties, there's a brewing sort of anger. There's a brewing dissatisfaction with the way things are in their own political party. Right? I left my previous political party because of that, because of, I didn't have hope in that party, and so I thought, in political space, you should always be willing to, try out new possibilities. So there is, then there are emerging new parties as well. But then there are also young people in the mainstream parties. So I think that is where I would be looking for hope. In terms of the wisdom and maturity, I think we are headed in the right direction. I'm not a pessimist. I don't think cynicism will lead us anywhere. But I think we are numerically weak right now, but hopefully in the days to come, it will emerge as a bigger force.
Yeah, kindly remember the question. I expect the answer of the same question from each of you. But now let me point a next question to Mr. Pranav Bhattarai. So we have our constitution that guarantees this kind of right to the citizen to elect their representatives. We have also rights to communication, right to information, that creates a sort of basis for demanding information from public offices, and for largely for the circulation or communication of uncensored information news. And also we have separation of power. We have committees, parliamentary committees like Public Accounts Committee that looks after financial accountability of government institution and everything. But despite all of these systems we have in the constitution, where do you think we have failed to ensure accountability and governance? Where did we, lack to promise good governance in the country?
In my opinion, in my perspective, after 1990s, when democracy was restored, after that, our leaders, they did politics, but without accountability. So politics without accountability doesn't last long. It lasted for around 30 plus years, but it's not going to exist anymore. Because in recent election, if we look at, we saw some kind of sense that we should do politics in a very accountable way, or let's make the politics accountable. So that kind of sense, came up, and we saw some kind of changes in recent election, and the scenario of this political, landscape will be changed a lot in the next election. So this is one dimension. Another dimension is Nepal in terms of law, as you recently mentioned. Nepal in terms of enacting or let's say endorsing new laws, Nepal is far ahead. Even in 1990s, Nepal, the then constitution had ensured right to information as a fundamental right that time. So that constitution was the first in South Asia to have
constitutional guarantee for right to information that time. Okay, so this gives us how far ahead we are in terms of ensuring everything in the constitution, bringing up different laws. And if we look at recently, in 2008, Nepal enacted Good Governance Act. Nepal is still, I think, Nepal is first in South Asia to have that law. But look at how services are being delivered. Look at the accountability of our political leaders. Look at the service delivery. So this gives us, and for to make the politics accountable or to hold our leaders accountable in days ahead, I think the role is, or the onus is on the civil society. Right? As long as civil society is vibrant, active, that will keep an eye on the government. So I think this is what actually we need to do, or strengthen the civil society, strengthen their role in democracy, so that we can make the leaders accountable. So that is the problem.
As a civic society member, what is your say on whether we can trust the political maturity, wisdom, or professional integrity of the present-day political actors of power? Can they be trusted with a power, office power?
Right now, I would say no, because if you look at the history of the corruption scandals, it will make the citizens hopeless. So I have also been a kind of hopeless, and I don't trust these political leaders. The political maturity that you say is yet to come. It will. I don't know when it will come, because we have already lost around 35 plus years, and I would often say 3 generations. My grandfather, my father, and myself. We have been living in a country, underdeveloped sort of country. So if you look at the different countries in the world, if you look at, we will not see, the country, many countries have transformed themselves within the span of 25 years, 30 years, but we are actually in a tunnel where we do not see any light at the end. So this is the situation. At present, I don't really trust the political leaders given their past performance, the way they have been, delivering the services, the way they have been corruption cases hitting the media headlines. So this is what actually I would say.
Now let me pass the same question to Mr. Siromani Dhungana, and on top of that, it has been noted in several instances that the judiciary and the constitutional bodies have not fully lived up to the credibility and public trust expected of their mandate. What do you think is the case, and what has to be done to keep these judiciaries and to keep these constitutional bodies in check?
Let me start from an example. My friend, his name is Nepal Center. He works in Bagmati province, and his work focuses on child safeguarding and protection. And he shared in his recent experience, he came across with a very genuine case where a person from a municipality, rural municipality, was victim of abuse, but that particular person was from marginalized group. Actual number of voters from that group was really low. That was the reason the politician did not step into the justice process. Constitutionally, judicial committee is there, led by deputy mayor or vice chair of the rural municipality. But that person was deprived of justice because that particular caste group has very low number of votes in that particular palika. So this shows the reality and the level of maturity and federalism. The spirit of federalism was not that. The spirit of federalism was not that just because you are in minority, you should be deprived of justice. So we cannot trust this lot of politicians until and unless the institutions will be in place to ensure justice for all. Second example is our politicians, regardless of their ideology, regardless of political party they are affiliated with, they have some sort of autocratic characters. Let's talk about TikTok ban. So almost you can see national consensus on that particular decision, right? So they gave example of some other countries. They have some other grounds. They had decided to ban TikTok on the ground of data privacy breach or data leak or something like that. But in our context, politicians have given very lame excuse to ban TikTok. And by that logic, at any point of time, they can ban Facebook, they can ban Instagram, they can obstruct use of other social media platforms, right? So, in such crucial event, we can see national consensus, and we cannot see high level of race among even second layer or third layer politicians. Then how can we trust them in terms of that? And as far as our judiciary and other institutions are concerned, as I said earlier, most of the institutions have been compromised of late. We have been witnessing for long that our institutions are compromised, and I'm not saying this. You can see Supreme Court reports. Supreme Court reports itself accepts that there are some malpractices. There are corruption. Corruption are ingrained in the system that we don't need to say. If we look at the annual report of our anti-graft body and Supreme Court report and Surveillance Department report, we can see the things. But our government has not a consecutive government, not only one government, and the basic character of our politicians is like they are very pro people, very anti-corruption champion when they are in the opposition, and they adopt the same system and they start doing the same thing when they are in the power, right? And this is what is happening, and on this ground, I say we need to have, as Manushi rightly pointed out, we need to have some powerful institution to translate the spirit of federalism into a reality.
As you noted about institutions being compromised, and if we look at civil society as a system or as institutions, right, they are supposed to be separate entities that are separate from the government or political sphere, and especially since we hold a vote, the citizens of the country hold a vote to elect someone in power or throw someone out of power. We are supposed to be the superior power in the case of democracy, or in case of the democratic system that we are talking today. But in a lot of times we do not see that. We see these civic spaces and political spaces being intermixed. A lot of times these civic movements being maneuvered or being manipulated or being directed or guided or influenced by these political actors and people with political ambitions or political motives. And what it does, it weakens the case of the civic societies. And let me call it a political hijacking of civic movements and civic agenda. You, to Mrs. Manushi Yami Bhattarai, as a politician, how do you think we can protect the civic spaces from being hijacked by politicians?
I think the problem, the very unique problem, I mean, civic spaces are under attack all over the world. It's a global phenomenon, especially with the rise of the conservative forces in many parts of the world. But what is unique to Nepal, I think, is because we are at a very sort of expanded transitional phase. We took many years to promulgate our constitution, and then we're taking a lot of time to build our new institutions. In this gap, in this vacuum of having weak institutional mechanisms, the political parties have overwhelmingly become these powerful entities. They're being too powerful, somewhat like over the state itself. You know, not one party, all of them. And because of that, there's a constant tussle on the one hand to always be in power, but on the other hand, even when you're not in government, you're still a very sort of as powerful as an entity. You know, they've become like states in themselves. And these political parties, within them, are under control of very few men. You know, power is centralized in these few handful of people. So because of that, not only civic spaces, all spaces are highly particized. I wouldn't even say politicized. They have become partyized. You know, I've been involved in the education students movement for a long time, and the growing, you know, the dismal situation of our education institutions is largely to do with how our political parties and the political actors have partyized these, you know, academic institutions and all aspects of our life. You look at the judiciary, there's power sharing. You look at the smallest of small, toll level mounting, even the toll committees, or even the consumer committees, you know, for building the roads or for a water tap, everything is partyized. Everything happens in Bhagbanda among these three political parties. So I agree with you. Everything has been hijacked by parties, and that is why we need to have these mechanisms. You know, because a democracy, a functional democracy, can healthily, you know, survive only if you have separation of powers, if you have demarcations of what a political party is supposed to do and not supposed to do. And so I think the first major task for us is to build our new institutions, which we have envisioned to be participatory and proportionally inclusive. I think if we get that done, then we will have our parties in size. We've given them too much importance. You know, we've given them too much power. We need to, you know, reclaim our civic spaces.
Now, for you, when it comes to press freedom, Nepal has made quite great progress in 2022, advancing from 106th position to 76th among 180 countries in Reports Without Borders Press Freedom Index. But this Press Freedom Index, what it indicated was the upgradation of the press freedom in the country. But do you think this index reflects the ability of media in Nepal to bridge the trust between the state and civil society?
There is no like black and white answer to this question, because it is really a tough question, and we need to dive. I think we need to look at in a deeper way to this question. We are better now, no, not because we have done something something splendid in the past, or we have done better, because other countries also operate conservative and not so liberal politics. That is one reason. Another is like, can media bridge the existing gap? I think media is, in a way, reflective of the society. So in a way, that's why we say mirror of the society. So when your politicians are not, they don't have a sense of accountability, when society as a group has maintained a spiral of silence, when a large section of intellectuals have assessed the climate opinion and decided to remain silent on major issues that are really connected with public good, in that particular context, and when even advertisements are controlled by politicians. That is another key part. Media cannot operate without resources. We all must agree that media cannot be run without resources. in a developed country, media generate funds from public, and they exercise high level of editorial freedom. That is not the case in Nepal. There are very few numbers of corporate houses or those who can provide aid to media platforms, right? So when politicians are not happy with media, their resources may be like limited. When politician asks advertisers not to provide advertising to that particular media, then media operators will be left with no option but to shut it down. This is the scenario. So probably there may be so media can go to the what extent? I am talking about big media and what we call mainstream media. To that extent, or to that situation, only when their media is not threatened.
Let me point you out an example. It will hopefully make the answer more interesting. If we look, if you all remember, a very famous politician of Nepal, uprising politician, he called out the top editors of top media houses of Nepal and named them Bara Bhai. And all of this sudden, in all social media, there was this outrage against this big, powerful media houses of Nepal. And if you see globally also, this idea of civic journalism is on the rise. The idea of citizen journalism is on the rise. You can see Elon Musk's buying out of Twitter as an example, where he's trying to empower each individual citizen or each Twitter account holder to directly publish the information or news in his social media platform against the established status quo media houses. Now, that also generates a lot of confusion and a spread of misinformation and disinformation issues. Now, where do you see a challenge for media houses or media people like you to separate yourself and stay on top of your profession?
I don't want to comment on that particular comment by particular politician, because that was not expected from at least mainstream politician. Manushi shared it, like sweeping generalization is always wrong, and at least intellectual people should always be very cautious to that type of attempt to make to generalize the things or to keep the whole things in one basket. It doesn't work. On the part of media, definitely media need to evaluate themselves. Why people are not favoring them? Why so many people are taking social media to criticize mainstream media? Even as an editor, it is also my responsibility to seek answer of these questions. Why people started losing hopes on media? Why people started losing trust on media?
Right.
Why people are trusting someone whose credibility we think is really low, or whose background whose background is not convincing? But why people are convinced with these people, or let's say in modern days terminology, these viral people? They does not share credible background, right? They does not come from any struggle or any kind of, like, they don't have legacy. They don't have much history to trust them. But people have faith on them, not in the mainstream media or regional or provincial media. Why? This is a great question. And it also comes with a challenge. The challenge is, as you pointed out, misinformation and disinformation. And really challenging for Nepali society is public has stopped believing in experts and some so-called viral or multimedia or let's say YouTuber or someone like that with this. So this is not a good indication, and it is a very crucial question, and our civil society organizations and our civic space, I think in the days to come, we should collectively try to find answer of these questions.
It's been exactly an hour since we began this conversation. We will go for the last round of our conversation, which will discuss the way forward for civic spaces in terms of accountability, in terms of governance. And before we will go for next 15 to 20 minutes before we wrap up, and I would like to again come back to Manushi ji for another question. For a country like Nepal, what do you think could be the initiatives to promote citizen engagement and participation decision making, especially for a policymaker, since we have to work with the people, understanding their issues, reading their emotions, and trying to understand their needs and what the country lacks and all that. What could be the initiatives to promote a healthy citizen engagement platforms and enhance citizen engagement or participation in decision-making process of the country?
So I think all of us active in different sectors of Nepali society have our own responsibilities and tasks to do. As a politician who is not an elected representative, there are things that I can do and must do to sort of encourage civic engagement, which would be, let's say, in a system like Nepal where you have partial first past the post system, what we need to understand is that the winner mostly is representative of minority, right? If you add the vote percentage of the rest of the ones who lost, they'll be the majority. So the winner as well as the ones who lost need to understand that, even though it's a winner takes all sort of electoral system, but our tasks are very, an in-depth look into it will enlighten us with the tasks that we can do. So what I can do is I'm an opposition member in my own constituency, just to give you an example. So whatever is happening that my elected representative should be doing, that should be under public scrutiny. That should be transparent for it to be under public scrutiny. So I need to, make sure that each and everything that my representative is doing, speaking, not doing, is happening in a way that is available for everyone to see. If that is not happening, I need to make sure that that is happening. And if it's good, it's our task is to provide constructive criticism, right? Not just to blame them for everything, which is normally what happens in Nepal as well. Our political culture is such that as opposition, we are not constructive in our criticism. So that is something that we need to inculcate. So the political party that we choose, the political grouping that we choose, needs to be such that where they sort of encourage this sort of political culture, where deliberation can happen, where you make sure that some sort of accountability you display through your action. So I can ensure that. Now, for those who are elected representatives who are in office, what they can do is they can definitely make laws and influence policies, right? Their task is to make and influence laws and policies. So that is the most crucial task. You have to make sure that you make laws which encourage a dynamic civic engagement, not curtail them. If any attempt is being made to bring these hurdles in civic engagement and to sort of shrink the civic spaces, you need to shout out and say that this is wrong. You need to take a stand. When he was talking about this unanimous sort of support for TikTok ban, that was outrageous. I mean, one of our leaders is in the government, but we were outrightly against it. Both, in the digital space at least, we were outrightly speaking against, this new directive that was banning TikTok. And there were other 19 points in that directive. Some of them were very ridiculous. So political actors need to be very alert, in knowing what the government is bringing. Many of our politicians at the federal level are so much engaged in what is happening at the local level. There's no demarcation of what the ward politician is supposed to do, what the provincial level actor is supposed to do, and what the federal level politician is supposed to do. And so a federal lawmaker is more interested in the task that a ward president is supposed to do, and he has no clue, he or she has no clue about what is being presented in our parliament. So this needs to be corrected, and for that to happen, we need a more engaging, citizen body. Our people need to be more aware of who do we want to send as our representatives. Unfortunately, what's happening is we take pride in saying that, oh, our constitution has said participatory democracy, and we have these regular elections, free and fair elections and whatnot. But look at the records of the people that we are also voting. The onus is also sometimes on, not sometimes, is largely on the common masses as well. But it's also a vicious circle because, our politicians are educating our voters in such a way that they're sort of making them dependent on them. For things like hospital na bed chahiye, for things like, you need some concession in the fees somewhere. For every little thing, you've collapsed our institutions. You're making people dependent on the political leaders. So electorally what happens, in a very indirect manner, you are sort of, in a way, forced to elect the same person who may not be accountable, who may, totally be not delivering on the promises. So it's a vicious circle. We have to break it from somewhere. I think the rupture has to happen from somewhere. And as a politician, I am all ready to engage with the masses. When I'm in office, I will make sure that I do my duties. When I'm not in an elected office, I'll make sure that I'm constantly with the people to educate the people as well about these tasks.
Right, now let me direct the question to Pranavji. Now, same question to you as well. How us as citizens, how civic societies can work in a way that they can demand more of good governance and more of accountability and transparency from the state? What kind of initiatives can we engage in that will help to ensure more accountability and good governance?
I think in the context of Nepal, what we have seen is civil society or the citizens, they have been demanding, they have been taking to the streets against the government. But the government, sorry, but the government or the political parties, they are not much cooperative or not much, in terms of participation. Like if they make laws, for example, they don't invite the concerned stakeholders. They make laws without inviting citizens, without inviting the stakeholders or taking their feedback. So,
or even town halls.
Yes. So this is one of the problems. Other is we have good things in laws, right, but they don't implement. So, for example, I will give you one example. When we formed anti-graft agency, like Commission for CIA, let's say. CIA was the first most powerful institution in South Asia when it was formed. Many people don't know it. Right? It had three powers. It still has role of investigator, role of prosecutor, role of ombudsman. you will not find any institution in South Asia with these three powers. Our CIA has that. And why CIA has not been able to function? In India, Anna Hazare and Kejriwal, they demanded same sort of institution in India to look after corruption. The problem is, is the political will. If we let the CIA function freely, it can do many things. But the problem is that, we have politicized these powerful institutions, and to that level where, they are not functioning. They are not able to function. So, we have good laws. We have, good institutions in place. We have everything in place, for example. But the problem is, it is linked with political will. Unless there is political will, it's difficult to make transformation. So the CIA can be a good example of why we have not been able to promote good governance or tackle corruption despite having such a most powerful institution in Nepal. So political parties need to, they need to ensure that citizen participation in making laws, in hearing what they have to say when they are formulating different kind of laws. So that kind of, if they initiate this kind of mandatory process, then I think some changes can happen. I think this is the problem, we have not been able to promote good governance, tackle corruption, promote transparency in the way the government functions. So it's linked to political will. Unless we change that will be nowhere. This is what my take.
Sure. And on the way forward, let's hear from Mr. Siromani Dhungana. What do you think is happening in the media sphere? Are we too scared of trying to call out what's being wrong in politics or in the government or with the people in power? Are we being weakened, or what do we have to do to strengthen ourselves and, through media, hold the government accountable and ensure good governance?
Before commenting on that media part, I want to share some more aspect by our civil society. We were talking about our civil society is in better position compared to other South Asian countries, right? It is not because we have done something better. It is because other countries did something better. This is why we are here today. And on the part of reality, we are experiencing a condition of spiral of silence. Many people don't comment against powerful politicians, don't make any comment against powerful politicians and powerful people, because meritocracy is almost dead in this country. And to get opportunity, to grab the opportunity, even intellectual people, even those those who have fire inside them, they have opted silence as a strategy not to lose their future opportunities. That is the reality of our country. That is why our civic space has experienced this type of situation, and we have not been able to create vibrant, effective, and critical masses. This is one reality. And these politicians who are leading the political parties, they are in power for years and years and years, and they know where opportunities are and how to appease intellectuals, people, those who can raise the critical voices. And they have in a way bartered the opportunities among parties and leaders, so that intellectual people who are supposed to raise voice against wrongdoings, malpractices, corruptions, they are silent. This is one reality. And as I said earlier, we should not see media in isolation. Media is also integrated in this media is just another institution of the society, right? So, how critical is media? You can see opinion in editorial page of media. Can you find critical pieces or not? Can you find critical opinion or not? Can you find fierce criticism against sitting prime minister or not? Can you find, or have you experienced, have you witnessing a kind of media or a lot of media is supporting one leader for time and again or not? From that perspective, you can assess the media, and I think this is definitely a good question. How can media help support, create a vibrant civil society? And I think there must be some kind of spark, as we discussed earlier, some kind of beginning. Why people are after a notorious businessman? Why people are after a misogynist? Why people are after a hate monger? Not after an intellectual, who are not after those person who claim themselves as an opinion maker. This is a question of, this is a reality of our society. So if media, let's say media, social media and other part as well, were fully aware of this fact, and if these facts were considered, I think the situation would have been quite different. And this should be, as a journalist, we all should be very aware of this fact that our society is frustrated with the ongoing narrative. Our society is getting frustrated with established faces. Our society is getting frustrated with what they are told by the politicians. I think this can create a gap or vacuum in the future, and this is not going to be good for our system, because layman does not segregate political actors with system. That is why politicians these days are quite worried that, okay, a politician can do a wrong thing, but system can't. This is statement partially true, but a good system also hold politician accountable, right? So we have envisaged a system, we have developed a system where a bad politician can be in power for long time. Why?
Yeah.
Why we have failed to hold them accountable? So this is a question we as actors of civil society collectively finance, and we should not die collective consciousness of the society.
Now we have hit the mark, 1 hour 20 minutes since we began. Before we close out, I would like to extend the microphone to the audience, and if any one of you would like to ask a question to any of our panelists, you're more than welcome to.
I think it can be in Nepali also. I
Yeah,
don't know
in
why
Nepali.
we are speaking in English.
Can you rise up also, can you please introduce yourself?
Okay, I can't claim myself to be a civil society representative. True civil society को भनेर प्रश्न आइरहेछ कि हामीले सेपरेट गर्न सकेका छौं पोलिटिसियन र म यो पार्टीको सिभिल सोसाइटी रिप्रेजेन्ट गर्छु भन्ने परिस्थिति छ. What is your verdict on it? Direct question to Mr. Siromani.
Political partition is a reality, and we cannot expect anyone to be politically neutral. We all have ideologies. That is why we need institutions to control our ambition, political ambition. And those who want to be known as a civil society activists or civil society leaders or civil society members, they should be guided by objectivity, truthfulness, and justice, not by the interest of the political party they are affiliated with or they are impressed with. This is what I can say.
Let's take another question. Feel free to rise up, and also you can ask in Nepali as well.
Namaste everyone. मेरो नाम चाहिँ कञ्चन सिटौला. म चाहिँ रोड क्लबबाट रिप्रेजेन्ट गर्छु र currently I'm a मास्टर्स इन न्युट्रिसन एन्ड डायटेटिक्सको 3rd सेमेस्टरको स्टुडेन्ट भएँ हैन. हाम्रो चाहिँ अब कलेजमा चाहिँ हाम्रो नेपाल भनौँ एउटा मात्रै कलेज छ क्याफोडाड भनेर. हाम्रो चाहिँ अब सबै ओभरअल सिनारियो हेर्नु पर्दाखेरि चाहिँ कलेजमा चाहिँ के छ भने त्यति राम्रोसँग इफेक्टिभली पढाइ नहुने र सँगसँगै पोलिटिकल्ली पनि केही कुराहरू पनि छ जस्तो लाग्छ र सँगसँगै अब पोलिसीको कुरा गर्नु पर्दाखेरि चाहिँ न्युट्रिसन सेक्टरमा चाहिँ कामहरू त भएको छ तर स्टिल पनि मान्छेहरूलाई थाहा छैन कि न्युट्रिसन भनेको के हो, यसमा अवेरनेस लेभल कतिको छ. स्कुल लेभलमा प्रोग्रामहरू पनि भइरहेको हुन्छ. नर्मली जङ्क फुड, अनहेल्दी फुड्स, प्रोसेस फुड्सको सबै कुराहरू पनि हामीले इनिसिएटिभली गरिरहेको हुन्छ. तर स्टिल पनि पिपल ल्याक के नेपालीहरूलाई थाहा नभएको कि न्युट्रिसनको अझै पनि अवेरनेस लेभल नभएको कि हाम्रो कन्ट्रीमा चाहिँ न्युट्रिसनलाई अझ पनि अगाडि बढाउनलाई के इनिसिएटिभ गर्न सकिन्छ. र मेरो रोल चाहिँ के हो एज अ डायटिसियन आई एम लाइक मैले स्कुल हेल्थ प्रोग्राम पनि नगरे होइन र ठाउँ ठाउँमा कम्युनिटी प्रोजेक्टहरू पनि मैले गर्दै आएको छु. तर मलाई के फिल हुन्छ भने अझै पनि आई एम फिलिङ भेरी गिल्टी त होइन, मैले आफ्नो तर्फबाट गरिरहेको छु. तर मसँग आउने सपोर्टर्सहरू को हुनुहुन्छ त होइन, मलाई चाहिँ अप्रोच गर्ने र सँगसँगै अब एजेन्सी अर्गनाइजेसनतिर गयो भने सबै ठाउँतिर लिङ्क सबै ठाउँतिर पावर मात्रै चुज गर्ने. अब हाम्रो त के कदरै भएन कि न्युट्रिसन पढाइ के ब्याकग्राउन्ड भन्दाखेरि नर्मल हेर्दाखेरि एक्सपिरियन्स 5-6 इयर्सको माग्नुहुन्छ होइन. अनि त्यसमा हेर्नु न अनि युवाहरूले कसरी चाहिँ इनिसिएट गर्ने र विदेशी किन भाइ वी आर गोइङ टु अब्रोड के अनि यसमा चाहिँ मैले के इनिसिएटिभ गर्न सक्छु र मलाई कोले सपोर्ट गरिदिनुहुन्छ त यो सेक्टरमा. थ्याङ्क यू. यो क्वेसन चाहिँ सिधै मानुसी म्याम सबैजनालाई 3 जनालाई भन्न चाहन्छु. थ्याङ्क यू.
धेरै धन्यवाद. जो प्रति आश गरिन्छ उसैलाई नै कडा प्रश्नहरू अथवा होइन इभन आक्रोश पनि पोख्ने हो नि त. त्यो भनेको त त्यो पछाडि केही अपेक्षा छ भन्ने कुरा हो. सो म एकदम तपाईँले भनेको कुरामा फिल गर्न सक्छु किनभने धेरै जसो विद्यार्थीहरू म पढाउँछु पनि अहिले. अनि अब अहिले लगभग कलेजहरूलाई गाह्रो भइरहेछ विद्यार्थीहरू रिटेन गर्न. 12 क्लास पछि नै यो अहिले पहिला पनि हुन्थ्यो होइन त, अहिले ठुलो स्केलमा अलि बढ्दो स्केलमा भइरहेको भन्ने चाहिँ सबैलाई महसुस भइरहेछ. एउटा धेरै इम्पोर्टेन्ट कारण मान्छेले चाहिँ यो अब आर्थिक रूपमा अपर्च्युनिटी छैन पनि भन्नुहुन्छ, त्यो पनि एउटा ट्रुथ हो. तर सँगसँगै हाम्रो एजुकेसन सिस्टमले पनि फेल गरेर पनि हो कि एक त हाम्रो तपाईँले पनि महसुस गर्नुहुन्छ होला होइन 3 वर्षको कोर्स सर्टिफिकेट हातमा लागुन्जेल 4-5 वर्ष भइसकेको हुन्छ. सो लट अफ टाइम वेस्टेज भइरहेको छ. हाम्रो सिस्टमले नै गरिरहेको अपराध हो यो होइन. पोलिसीमै करप्सन हुने भनेको चाहिँ यसरी हो कि यसमा त अनि नेताहरूले हो नि त. यसमा को अकाउन्टेबल भन्दाखेरि त्यो रेगुलेट गर्ने डाइरेक्टली पोलिटिसियन त होइन होला तर तपाईँको इन्स्टिट्युसनले किन काम गरिरहेको छैन, किन टाइममा चाहिँ रिजल्ट निकालिरहेको छैन भनेर त्यसको अनुगमन गर्ने त पोलिटिसियनहरूले हो नि त होइन. त्यो काम नगरेको अनुगमन नगरे होइन सिधै हस्तक्षेप गरिदिने के मानेमा भन्दा संरक्षण गर्ने. गलत काम गर्ने मान्छेहरूको संरक्षण गरिदिएपछि त सक्यो है. एउटा यो अब जहाँसम्म स्पेसिफिकली तपाईँले न्युट्रिसन र डायटको जुन कुरा गर्नुभयो यसमा चाहिँ मेरो पर्सनली के हो भने म आमा भएपछि नै मैले बढी चाहिँ न्युट्रिसन र डायट भन्ने चिज पनि कसरी चाहिँ पोलिटिकल एजेन्डा रहेछ इस्यु रहेछ भनेर चाहिँ मैले त्यो बेला बुझेँ कि त्योभन्दा अगाडि म पोलिटिसियन नै थिएँ तर मेरो भोकाबुलेरीमा कहिले पनि न्युट्रिसन र डायटको कुरा मैले उच्चारण गरेको मलाई याद छैन कि मलाई थाहै थिएन. म लार्जर पोलिटिकल इस्युहरूको कुरा गर्थेँ होइन. बट एन इस्यु एज सिग्निफिकेन्ट एन्ड बेसिक फन्डामेन्टल एज न्युट्रिसन डायट भनेको त हाम्रो भविष्य डाइरेक्टली रिलेटेड. हामीले हुर्काउने बच्चाहरू उसको ब्रेन डेभलपमेन्ट उसको फिजिकल डेभलपमेन्ट उसको सबै क्यापेसिटीसँग जोडेको कुरा त न्युट्रिसन एन्ड डायट रहेछ जुन चाहिँ कहिले पनि हाम्रो पोलिटिकल एजेन्डा भएन. सो त्यसले गर्दाखेरि मैले त्यो कुरा हेर्नु धेरै ठाउँमा बोलेँ पनि पछि कि है म इमिडिएटली म आमा भएपछि मैले धेरै ठाउँमा बोलेँ. सो यो मैले स्प्रेड गर्ने हो अरूलाई पनि अवेर बनाउने हो र हुँदा जो पोलिसी मेकिङ लेभलमा ल मेकिङ लेभलमा हुनुहुन्छ उहाँहरूलाई न्युट्रिसनसँग हेल्थसँग रिलेटेड इभन एजुकेसनसँग रिलेटेड हरेक ल पोलिसी डिरेक्टिभ जे आउँछ त्यसमा चाहिँ हाम्रो न्युट्रिसनिस्ट डायटिसियनहरूसँग बसेर कन्सल्ट गरेर उहाँहरूको राय सुझाव लिएर गर्नु पर्यो भनेर त मैले भन्नु पर्यो नि त हैन। सो यो मानेमा म फुल्ली तपाईँको साथ छु हैन। यसमा अरूलाई पनि झकझकाउने काम र कहाँ तपाईँहरूलाई चाहिँ ब्यारियर्स हुन्छ स्पेसिफिक ब्यारियर्सहरू पनि तपाईँहरूले लिएर आउनुभयो भने आइ एम कम्प्लिटली विथ यु।
यसमा मेरो त धेरै कमेन्ट भएन, मैले एउटा मात्रै सेयर गर्छु। म त्रिभुवन विश्वविद्यालयमा स्नातकोत्तरलाई पढाउँछु। अनि एक दिन डाँड बसिरहेको थिएँ, एउटा भाइ एक्जाम सुरु हुनुभन्दा पहिला आयो। अनि उसको रिक्वेस्ट के थियो भने सर आज लुज छोडिदिनु होला एक्जाम भन्यो। अहिले किनभने म विदेश जाँदैछु, मलाई यो एक्जाममा नम्बर ल्याउनु पाइयो भने राम्रो युनिभर्सिटी जानु पाइन्छ। उसको रिक्वेस्ट मसँग त्यति मात्रै थियो कि होइन म विदेश जाँदैछु नम्बर भनेपछि त्यो दिन चाहिँ मलाई पर्सनली भन्नुहुन्छ भने त्यो जरैबाट हाम्रो त्यो अस्तित्वमाथिको प्रश्न भन्दा जस्तो पनि लाग्यो कि एउटा भाइ एक्जाम हलमा आइरहेछ, मास्टर्स पढिरहेछ होइन अर्को कलेजको, त्यो अर्को कलेजको एउटा टिचरलाई रिक्वेस्ट गरिरहेछ कि मलाई यो एक्जाम प्लिज छोडिदिनु। कारण केही छैन, उसलाई चोर्न मन होइन, उसलाई विदेश जानलाई उसको नम्बर राम्रो भयो भने सहज हुन्छ भन्ने मात्रै छ भनेपछि हामीले हाम्रो एजुकेसन सिस्टमलाई अनि त्यही युनिभर्सिटी म अहिले हेर्छु मानुषीजीहरू पनि त्यहाँबाट आउनुभयो। लकिली उहाँहरू चाहिँ आन्सर गर्न सक्ने ठाउँमा आजसम्म हुनुहुन्छ, सत्तामा डाइरेक्ट नबस्या भएर होइन। कतिपय पार्टीमा त्यही स्टुडेन्ट पोलिटिक्सबाट आउनेहरू एकदम पावरफुल पोजिसनमा पुग्यो जस्तो देखिन्छ, तर उहाँहरूको काम चाहिँ एउटा लेखकले गर्ने कामभन्दा बियोन्ड हुन सकेका देख्दिनँ होइन। त्यो स्टुडेन्ट पोलिटिक्सबाट आउनेलाई त कम्तीमा थाहा हुन्छ आरआरमा के हुन्छ, सङ्कटीमा के हुन्छ, त्रिचन्द्रमा के हुन्छ, सबै थाहा हुन्छ होइन। भनेपछि हाम्रो एजुकेसन सिस्टम के छ, अकाउन्टेबिलिटी भनेकै यही त हो नि, गभर्नेन्स भनेकै यही त हो नि, आफूले सिकेर आउँछ त्यहाँ त होइन। सोभियतबाट कसरी पिपल आर बिङ हेबिचुएटेड विथ करप्सन भन्ने पनि थाहा हुन्छ होइन। भनेपछि त्यो एउटा तपाईँले भन्नुभएको कुरा ठिक हो। अनि अर्को कुरा चाहिँ हामीकोमा अब उहाँहरूले गर्नु सक्नुहुन्छ यो पहिला मैले एकचोटि यो के अरे फन्डिङ ट्रान्सपरेन्सीमा अलिकति गरेको थिएँ। हाम्रो रिक्रुटमेन्ट प्रोसेस गभर्मेन्ट मात्र होइन नन गभर्मेन्ट पनि। अब अहिले त कस्तो भयो भन्दाखेरि पोलिटिसियनलाई खुसी नबनाउँदाखेरि नन गभर्मेन्ट एजेन्सिजहरू पनि यति धेरै रेस्ट्रिक्टिभ मेजर्सहरू छ कि इन्टरनेसनल होस् वा नेसनल एनजिओ आइएनजिओ पनि रन गर्नलाई एकदमै गाह्रो हुन्छ गभर्मेन्टलाई बेखुसी बनाएर होइन। मन्त्रीहरूले सी पठाउनै दिन आयो एजेन्सीहरूमा भनेपछि यो त एकदम यो चक्र कुशासनको दुष्चक्र छ होइन। त्यो दुष्चक्रमा अनि अब यो दुष्चक्र कसले ब्रेक गर्ने, कहाँबाट ब्रेक गर्ने भन्ने मात्रै हो होइन। अनि त्यो भइसकेपछि अनि अस्ति एउटा पोलिटिसियनले भन्दै हुनुहुन्थ्यो पहिलाको भन्दा युथहरू चाहिँ कम भएर जागिर माग्न आउने, किनभने सबै विदेश गयो त्यही भएर जागिर माग्न आउने कम भयो भनेपछि डिपेन्डेन्सी जुन हामी ग्लोबल फोरममा डिपेन्डेन्सी थ्योरीको अर्कै अर्थ लाग्ला। यहाँ चाहिँ पोलिटिसियनलाई म एकदम भ्यालु ढुँ मेरो मूल्य छ भन्ने देखाउनलाई पनि जागिरहरूको अपर्च्युनिटीहरू सबै कन्ट्रोल गरिदिने अनि मान्छेहरू ताकि ढुङ्न आउनु आफू कहाँ रिक्वेस्ट गर्न आउनु तपाईँ महान हो भन्न आउनु भन्ने चाहिँ पोलिटिसियनहरूको साइकोलोजी चाहिँ देखिन्छ।
Let's take one more question. यो अकाउन्टेबिलिटी गभर्नेन्स र हाम्रो सिभिक स्पेससँग सम्बन्धी प्रश्न छ भने टपिक स्पेसिफिक क्वेसन चाहिँ थप एउटा हामी लिन सकिन्छ, किनभने हामीले सुरु गरेबाट हामी 1.5 घन्टा लगभग पुग्न आयो, हामीलाई 4-5 मिनट मात्र बाँकी छ। सो टाइममा फिनिस गरौँ एन्ड लेटर when we end here तलपट्टि सोसलाइजेसनको कार्यक्रम हुन्छ, तल चिया खाजा छ, त्यो बेलामा चाहिँ इफ यु हेभ एनी स्पेसिफिक क्वेसन कसैलाई वा पर्सनल क्वेसन विषयभन्दा बाहिरको प्रश्न छ भने त्यहाँ पनि राख्नु है, हामीलाई टाइम र अपर्च्युनिटी अभाइलेबल हुन्छ। सो नाउ लेट्स युटिलाइज दिस टाइम इन आस्किङ टपिक स्पेसिफिक क्वेसन्स।
सबैलाई नमस्कार, म दुर्लभ बोगटी, म विशेष गरी यो सिभिल सोसाइटी स्ट्रेन्थनिङको क्षेत्रमा काम गर्छु। कामको सिलसिलामा कुनै एउटा जिल्लामा जाँदाखेरि यस्तै नागरिक समाजसँग एउटा डायलगको कार्यक्रम थियो। त्यो कार्यक्रममा परिचय कार्यक्रम सुरुवात गर्दा पहिलो सहभागीले आफ्नो परिचय गर्नुभयो र उहाँले आफ्नो परिचय सक्ने क्रममा म फलानु पार्टीको जिल्ला कमिटीको सदस्य भनेर उहाँले सुरुवात गर्नुभयो। 30-40 जना सहभागीहरू उहाँलाई पछ्याउँदै गएर सबैजनाले आफ्नो परिचय त्यसै गरी दिँदाखेरि सबैजनाले एकदमै स्पष्ट रूपमा आफ्नो पहिचानसहितको नागरिक समाजको परिचय दिनुभयो। त्यस्तो स्थिति अहिलेसम्म पनि त्यो निरन्तर छ र हामीले नागरिक समाजको सशक्तिकरण सिभिक स्पेस स्ट्रेन्थनिङ गर्ने भन्ने सन्दर्भमा विगतदेखि धेरै कामहरू गरेका छौँ। अहिले पनि हामी आज पनि यही काम छौँ। यहाँ अत्यन्तै महत्त्वपूर्ण सरहरू हुनुहुन्छ, हजुरहरू 3 जना प्यानलिस्ट हुनुहुन्छ, हामी पनि छौँ होइन। यो अझ लामो समयसम्म जान्छ भन्ने हामीलाई आशा छ। हामीले यति गर्दा गर्दै पनि यस्तो खालको स्थिति छ कि आज मानव अधिकार सङ्गठन, शान्ति समाज होइन, रेड क्रस जस्ता विभिन्न यस्ता खालका सङ्गठनमा आबद्ध व्यक्तिहरू नै खुल्ला तपाईँको समाजमा म नागरिक समाज हो भन्दै पहिचानसहितको उपस्थित देखेर नागरिक समाज र यो सिभिक स्पेसको ध्वज उडाउँदै हिँडेको दृष्टान्त समुदायदेखि केन्द्र स्तरमा यो ज्वलन्त छ। यसका पछाडिका विविध कारणहरू छन्। अहिले समुदायमा अहिले स्थानीय तहहरूमा पढौँ सरले जोडिसक्नुभयो अगाडि नै विगतको शासन व्यवस्थामा एकाउन्टेबिलिटीका टुल्सहरू म्यान्डेटरी थिए। एमसिपिएममा अत्यन्त नगरी नहुने तिनी अङ्कसँग जोडिएका कार्य सम्पादनसँग जोडिएको हुनाले अनुदानको प्राप्ति गर्ने र कटौती हुने सन्दर्भसँग जोडिएर त्यसरी एकाउन्टेबिलिटी टुल्सहरू कार्यान्वयन हुँदा गभर्नेन्स सिस्टममा रोल गर्थ्यो। तर अहिले झन् लोकल गभर्मेन्ट आफै आफ्नो सरकार आफ्नो जनताले चुनेको सरकार आफ्नो महत्त्वपूर्ण सरकारहरू भइरहँदा र स्थानीय शासनदेखि लिएर संविधानमा समेत उल्लेख भएका प्रावधान हुँदाहुँदै पनि एकाउन्टेबिलिटी टुल्स गभर्नेन्सका प्र्याक्टिसहरू एकदमै लुज एकदमै खस्किँदो अवस्था हजुरले अगाडि नै आफ्नो प्रस्तुतिमा दिइसक्नुभयो। त्यस्तो स्थिति हुँदाखेरि अब यो नेतृत्व हामी नागरिक समाज, मिडिया अनि अन्य चाहिँ सहयोगी निकायहरूले अझ पनि के गर्न सकिने हो र के गर्दाखेरि यस्तो स्थिति हुने हो, जबकि अब राजनीतिक दलहरूले नै जिल्ला कमिटीको सदस्य बनाएर नागरिक समाजलाई औचाल्ने स्थिति हुने हो भने यो कुराले हामी जति पनि छलफल गरेर यो कुराले पार लाग्दैन कि भन्ने मलाई लाग्छ। यसको उपाय के हुनसक्छ यहाँबाट छोटोमा
यसको जवाब प्रणव भट्टराईजीबाट लिउँ, त्यसपछि यहाँहरूको छोटो कमेन्ट गरिसकेपछि आई थिङ्क विल बी इन अ गुड सेप टु ऱ्याप अफ दिस इभेन्ट।
अब यस्तो छ, यसको समाधान त छ जस्तो लाग्दैन मलाई। हामी यति पार्टीकरण भइसक्यो, राजनीतिकरण पनि होइन, राजनीतिकरण चाहिँ अलि माथिल्लोकरणको अलिक माथिल्लो चिज हो। त्यो नेपालमा राजनीतिकरण भयो पार्टीकरण भएको हो होइन। यसको समाधान चाहिँ मैले ठ्याक्कै देखेकै छैन। अझै यो केही दशक यस्तै पार्टीकरणबाटै चाहिँ हामी अगाडि बढ्छौँ जस्तो लाग्छ। अब बिस्तारै भनौँ न, अब अर्को केही समय पछाडि चाहिँ अलिकति अब नयाँ युथहरू आइसकेपछि अलिक त्यो पार्टीप्रति वितृष्णा चाहिँ पछिचोटि बढ्दै पनि गएको छ। त्यसले अब केही हदसम्म अलिकति अर्को 10 वर्ष 15 वर्षमा केही कम गराउँछ कि भन्ने चाहिँ मलाई लाग्छ। नत्र तुरुन्तै यसको समाधान चाहिँ म देख्दिनँ। थ्याङ्क यू।
मैले अघि पनि थोरै सम्बोधन त गरेको थिएँ होइन, के गर्न सकिन्छ भन्ने कुरामा। समस्या चाहिँ मैले के भनेको थिएँ भने पार्टीहरूलाई हामीले अत्यधिक बढी शक्तिशाली बनायो, अत्यधिक बढी महत्त्व दियौँ र समाजका राज्यका विभिन्न अङ्गहरूको जसरी फरक फरक काम हुन्छ त्यसरी पनि राजनीतिक पार्टीको निश्चित कामहरू हो कि त्यसैमा नै केन्द्रित गरौँ। हाम्रो जुन डिपेन्डेन्सी छ, निर्भरता छ पार्टीहरूप्रति, त्यो के कारणले भएको छ भनेर हामीले अलिक खोज्यौँ। त्यो कारण अन्तर्यमा के हो भने हामी आर्थिक रूपमा नै अलिक डामाडोल अवस्थामा छौँ, बलियो छैन, हाम्रो टेक्ने धरातल दह्रो छैन कि पढ्नको लागि सामान्य सुविधा, स्वास्थ्य सुविधा, सर्भिसेसको लागि होइन, वडामा गर्नुपर्ने सानो कामहरूको लागि सिस्टम आफै चलायमान भएर डेलिभर गर्दैन कि। अनि त्यो भनसुन गर्नुपर्ने, कसैको केही सदस्यता बोकेको हुनुपर्ने, कोही नेता चिनेको हुनुपर्ने, यो सिस्टम इन्स्टिट्युसन्सहरूले काम नगरेपछि हुने यही हो। त्यस कारण हाम्रो जोड हेर्नु, पोलिटिसियन्स आउँछ जान्छ, पार्टीहरू बन्छन् होइन, विखण्डित होला के होला, तर हामीले बनाउन सक्ने भनेको चाहिँ सिस्टमलाई थेग्ने हाम्रा केही इन्स्टिट्युसन्सहरू हो होइन। त्यो रिफर्महरू गर्न सक्छौँ, नयाँ बनाउन सक्छौँ। त्यहाँ हामी बढी केन्द्रित भयो भने यसको पनि समाधान हुन्छ। अनि त्यो हाम्रो त्यो डिपेन्डेन्सीको जुन चक्र हो त्यो हामीले बिस्तारै हामीले चाहिँ कमजोर बनाउन सक्छौँ। यो अलिक लङ टर्म प्रयत्न हो कि फेरि अलिक पेसेन्स पनि चाहिन्छ, रातारात हुँदैन। तर बिचको कालखण्डमा पार्टीहरू वात्तै शक्तिशाली हुनुको कारण अहिले मैले जुन भने नि हाम्रो इन्स्टिट्युसन्सहरू विक अवस्थामा छ, इमेच्योर अवस्थामा छ, बन्ने अवस्थामा छ, बनिरहेको पनि हामी सुरुमै उसको ध्वस्त बनाइरहेको छौँ हो। यसमा बढी केन्द्रित भयौँ र अल्टिमेटली हेर्नुहोस्, म त राजनीतिमा मेरो ध्येय उद्देश्य के हो भने म आफै असान्दर्भिक हुँ कि आई सुड बी इरेलेभेन्ट अल्टिमेटली एज अ पोलिटिसियन। मेरो आजीवन कालसम्म चाहिँ म इफ एज अ पोलिटिसियन ममा चाहिँ मान्छेहरू आइराख्ने क्रम 10बाट 100, 100बाट 1000 छ भन्नुको अर्थ त के हो भने समस्या हाम्रो समाजमा त समस्याहरूको वृद्धि भइरहेछ भन्नुको अर्थ हो नि त होइन। म आई सुड बी एज इरेलेभेन्ट एज पोसिबल भन्ने उद्देश्य सहित हामी राजनीति गर्न थाल्यौँ भने पनि अनि मासहरूलाई, पोलिटिकल मासहरूलाई होइन इम्पावर गर्ने, इकोनोमिकली पनि इम्पावर गर्ने, अनि त्यहाँनिर जान्छ क्या ध्यान। अब त्यतातिर ध्यानै छैन अनि खालि कसरी चाहिँ निर्भर बनाउने भनेपछि उहाँले भनेको समस्या त सधैँभरि रहिरहन्छ। सो लेट्स स्टार्ट फ्रम देयर भन्न चाहन्छु।
Okay, my comment I think now we have here I'd like to conclude the panel session. Now Mr. Pranav Bhattarai, the session chair, will conclude with his remarks, and post-event we will have a socialization event on the ground floor, and we will definitely assemble there.
Thank you, Milan. You did an excellent moderations. I'll speak in both Nepali language to observing interest, desire from the crowd. Manushi ji, I have heard multiple times your name. Got up physically, all the best for your future political career. And I'm a very good reader of the Siromani Dhungana. He writes a very constructive political and different issues. I mean, I never got a chance to hear very directly from the floor. I really enjoy it, and the Pranav and me working together directly and indirectly. So that there's a really good to me to get the opportunity to hear. Always in front of the very young and energetic crowd. And this morning, Milan called me and give me some, the tasks that I can agree or disagree of the what panelists mentioned here. That is my right. And at the same time, he asked me to conclude my remarks within 15 minutes. Which is next to impossible. Maybe when I hear, because I prepare not a couple of notes, I prepare the number of the pages of the notes. I can write a thesis on the basis of the notes. So that, but I'll try to conclude within the 15 minutes. I think my time starts now. And what I heard is that let's start. Exactly what the Manushi mentioned is that if some people have a hope from the certain institutions, and definitely is the fingering out of the same institution. So that our discussion today is the almost focus on the political parties. And what is let's say the way forward takeaway is that a situation seems, I think, the very pessimistic. So that I want to start some best example, good example. That example could be replicated to the other region of these countries and other part of the world. And the एउटा सरले जस्ट हाम्रो उसमा चाहिँ इन्ट्रोडक्सन भएको थियो सेन्ट जेभियर्समा पढाउने सरले क्वेसन गर्नुभएको थियो व्हाट इज द सिभिक सोसाइटी दैट इज अ भेरी गुड क्वेसन आई एम स्ट्रगलिङ to get a right definition of the civil society since last 30 years, but I never got that. So that what is my definition is that ती सबै सङ्घ संस्थाहरू जो निजी क्षेत्र र राज्यभन्दा बाहिरका हुन्. That I mean this is my understanding of the civil society. Let's not go beyond the 90s, the political revolutions. Then because the autocratic system, civil society space is very much limited. Generally is the controlled by some of the royalists. So that I took is the first phase is the before 90s, then the 90s to 2017 is the second phase. Third phase is after the 2017. But you हेर्दाखेरि I fully agree with the Bogotiji. Where is Bogotiji? The Bogotiji is brought a very valid point here because we did a very good practice to ensure the social accountability at the ground while we had election of the 2017 first election as well as the second election of the 22. That the civic space has been narrowing down because we practice a lot of the different social accountability tools. There's the public hearing, social audit, and maybe the report card, citizen charter. Once the elected representatives came in there, the chairs considering the local government, that they started to feel that the civil society is the threat to them. So that what I found is that for the Nepal in the civil society, civil space, I still consider is the 90s to 2070s is the very golden era. There's a reason behind is that because due to the conflict, I think the government even they started to provide some space because they can't reach out to certain areas of the country. So that if the development partners mobilize the civil society, work as the service delivery, so that is the, I mean, for example, Siromani was involved in that part. The Poverty Elevation Fund is I think that came in the 2000, early 2000, I mean, sometime 2003, auctioned up to the 18 or 19. So they formed 1,000 of the different civil society, at a ground, and then another, I mean, the local governance support program, LGCDP, PLGSP. There are a lot of the, I mean, the different programs running in the ground during the conflict period, so that they give a good opportunity to the civic society, CBOs, and that they work in the both of the part because due to the lack of the elected representative, they support the local bodies. I mean, as a service provider, as the host. So that is the one of the golden era, I would say. Then there are some good practice. I don't think, I mean, without the involvement of the Devendra's Pandey and Dr. Mathura Shrestha, and there's a lot of the good name, Khagendra Samrula could be, Krishna Pahadi could be, I mean, they are active and meaningful participation, due to their active and meaningful participation. I mean, we got a first democracy in the 90s. That is a very good example. Even the summer revolutions, 2006, I mean, the revolution also, the social, the civic societies was very much important. I mean, their active involvement, and they always play a very bridging role between the political parties and that's the other parties, and definitely is the Darbar and the civil political party. That's a very good example. Then there are a lot of the good example what we've been practicing that. If you see there are a lot of the different document. There's the included of now the government is very much busy to preparing the 16th 5-year plan and the 16th periodic plan of the countries. 2010 to 15 सम्मको तपाईको periodic plan जुन आवाधिक योजना भन्छ National Planning Commission को, they provided a really good space and they really recognize the role of the civil society in this paper, including the constitution to local government operation aid. That is a really good part. And then what I heard that maybe there's a lot of the academicians I observe here, you people know much better than me. I mean, in that line, there's the academic institution has been revising the curriculum and revising the course, incorporating the importance of the civic space. That is also the really good practice here in the Nepal. So that these are the really good practice what we've been working on that, and that is another good practice. I mean, we should be proud of that because that is a fact-related information. I took a Milan word is that he mentioned this. That is the Liberal Democracy Index is a quite popular, let's say, I mean, the index in the world. If you, I mean, observe any country, analyze the other country, I mean, that is one of the very good indicators. So that in the 23, the Nepal ranked 62nd. That's out of the 179 countries. I mean, really, we should be proud of that part. I think even the Milan or Siromani mentioned that's the World Press Freedom Index, and that is 106 to 76 among the 100 countries. I mean, that is much better than the India and Pakistan. India is the 150th and Pakistan is the 157th. However, I think the 24 indicator will be drastically reduced because there are a lot of the event recently government decided, including the ban of the TikTok. So, but each positive part or but there are some issues. I mean what the issues all panelists has been raised today. Just I want to summarize in that part. Yes, I fully agree, Manushi. I borrow your word is that it is not a politicized, यो राजनीतिकरण होइन, यो चाहिँ पार्टीकरण. That is one of the issues. अब पार्टीकरण हुनुमा दुईटा चिज छ हैन. मान्छेलाई दुईटा चिजले बिगारेको छ, एउटा आश एउटा त्रास. पोलिटिकल पार्टीहरू, मेजर पोलिटिकल पार्टीहरू, मेजर भन्नाले 3-4 वटा पोलिटिकल पार्टीहरू एउटा तपाईको रजिस्टर बनाएर बसेका छन्. कुनै पनि मान्छेले उनीहरूको विरुद्धमा बोल्यो भने त्यो रजिस्टरमा नाम चढाउँछन् र त्यो रजिस्टरमा कसैले नाम चढाउँछ पात्र पनि स्पष्ट छ र ऊ बोल्ने बित्तिकै कि त उसलाई तपाईको सोशल मिडियामा उसको चाहिँ तपाईको 20 वर्ष अगाडिदेखिको कथा भएर आउँछ. मान्छेले जानेर नजानेर जीवनमा धेरै गल्ती गर्छ, त्यो आउँछ. त्यो जोखिम उसले लिन चाहँदैन कि उसलाई चाहिँ ती राजनीतिक दलहरूसँग निकट भएर चाहिँ कुनै पद दिनु छ. त्यो भएर आश र त्रासको कारणले गर्दाखेरि कल्चर अफ साइलेन्स हैन, हामी चाहिँ मौनताको संस्कृतिमा अगाडि बढेका छौँ. यो एउटा चाहिँ डरलाग्दो इस्यु हो. यो डरलाग्दो इस्यु हामी चाहिँ यो राजनीतिबाट प्रभावित छौँ. आई थिङ्क्स द अब इन्डियाको अहिलेको पोलिटिकल सिचुएसन तपाईँहरूलाई मैले भन्नु भएन. अब धेरै चिजहरू इन्डियाबाट हामी प्रभावित हुन्छौँ. यो चाहिँ डरलाग्दो स्थिति हो. अब another issue is what I mean the review the some of the document, but I couldn't get that much of the very good research, so that I mean this is the area to research product. I mean please be noted, you can invest a lot of things in this part because now I'm a freelancing, I'm a no more donor now. के साच्चै नेपालको नागरिक समाज चाहिँ समावेशी छ त छैन? A very direct question. There is no any I mean the great question. No. I tried to find some of the fact and the data, but I got is only the 6% the women are the editors. There's the 94 even the male are the editor, and the 25% of the working journalists are women. There's on the record of the FNC. FNC मा 13,000 plus चाहिँ जर्नलिस्टहरु रहेछन्, त्यसमा चाहिँ महिलाहरु भएको 2408 वटा. अझ त्योभन्दा डरलाग्दो कुरा त के भने जो पत्रकार भएर काम गरिराख्नु भएको छ, महिलाहरु पत्रकार भएर काम गरिराख्नु भएको छ, हाम्रो दिदीबहिनीहरु पत्रकार भएर काम गरिराख्नु भएको छ. 53% महिला पत्रकारहरूले उहाँहरूले चाहिँ पत्रकारिता गर्ने आफ्नो कार्यस्थलमा तपाईको चाहिँ विभिन्न किसिमको चाहिँ ह्यारेसमेन्टहरु बेहोर्नु भएको छ. मलाई चाहिँ जेन्डर बेस्ड भायोलेन्स बेहोरिएको छ. अब स्थिति हेर्नुस् न, सबभन्दा सचेत मिडिया त्यसमा चाहिँ अब 2019 मा मलाई लाग्छ दिएजिया फाउन्डेसन र स्टाफ कलेजले एउटा पर्सेप्सन सर्वे गरेको थियो, सबभन्दा ट्रस्टवर्दी अर्गनाइजेसन मिडिया. त्यसपछि नेपाल आर्मी के छ, लास्टमा पोलिटिकल पार्टी छ. मिडिया जहिले पनि अहिले पनि हामी सर्वे गर्ने भने म भन्दिन्छु, जो रिसर्च गर्नै पर्दैन, मिडिया जहिले पनि ट्रस्टवर्दी हो. त्यस्तो ठाउँमा 100 जनामा 53 जना महिला पत्रकारहरू आफ्नोको कार्यस्थलमा अब उहाँहरूलाई चाहिँ मिसबिहेभ गरेको हुन्छ, हेरेस भएको फिल गर्नुहुन्छ, जेन्डर बेस्ड भायोलेन्स हुन्छ. र त्यसमा चाहिँ अरू मसँग डाटा नहुँदा म जातिमा, धर्ममा, अरू भिन्न त्यो तपाईको चाहिँ एलजीबीटीआईक्यू को इस्युमा म किन जान सकिनँ भने क्षेत्रमा त्यो डाटा चाहिँ मैले पाइनँ. सायद अब सेभ द चिल्ड्रेन को लागि चाहिँ आउने अनुसन्धान गर्ने एरिया चाहिँ हुन सक्छ मेरो विचारमा. अब एउटा चाहिँ एक्ज्याक्टली अगेन प्रणव अथवा मानुषीजी दुवैले चाहिँ उठाएको कुरा चाहिँ यो चाहिँ नीति निर्माण तहमा चाहिँ सिभिक सोसाइटीको इन्भल्भमेन्ट, ल मेकिङ प्रोसेसमा इन्भल्भमेन्टको कुरा. आई मिन द मिलन ब्रट द्याट्स द वर्ड इज द टाउन हल मिटिङ, जेनरली इज द युनाइटेड स्टेट्स सिस्टम. कुनै पनि पोलिसी भन्दा कुनै पनि एक्ट र नियम भन्दाखेरि टाउन हलमा चाहिँ स्टेक होल्डर्सलाई बोलाएर डिस्कसन गरिन्छ, उनीहरूको फिडब्याक चाहिँ कलेक्सन गरेर चाहिँ हाउसमा लगिन्छ. त्यो चाहे लोकल गभर्मेन्टको हाउस होस्, चाहे चाहिँ प्रोभिन्सियल होस्, चाहे फेडरल होस्, त्यसमा चाहिँ सिभिल सोसाइटीको इन्भल्भमेन्ट. देयर आर सम गुड प्र्याक्टिस, बट एटलार्ज भएको छैन. अब अर्को डरलाग्दो इस्यु के भनेको एगेन ब्याक टु द बोगटीजी 2017 पछि चाहिँ सिभिक स्पेस एकदम साँगुरिएको छ. नागरिक समाजहरूको स्पेस छैन, किनभने तपाईँको चाहिँ यो अलिकति ब्याड प्र्याक्टिसको डिसेन्ट्रलाइजेसन भयो देशमा. र जब जनप्रतिनिधिहरू आयो एउटा वडामा तपाईँको चाहिँ एउटा वडाध्यक्ष र 4 जना सदस्यहरू भइसकेपछि दे अलवेज फेल्ट थ्रेट कि यति सिभिल सोसाइटी त्यहाँ भयो भने हामीलाई थ्रेट हुन्छ भनेर देशभरिमा सिभिल सोसाइटी, सिबिओस, टोल लाइन अर्गनाइजेसन, आमा समूह वन उपभोक्ता समिति र अरू सेक्टर उपभोक्ता समितिहरू यति धेरै एक्टिभहरू थिए जो प्लानिङ प्रोसेसमा मोनिटरिङमा इन्भल्भ हुन्थे र विभिन्न तपाईँको चाहिँ सोसल मिडिया यो उसको एकाउन्टेबिलिटी टुल्स युज गर्थे। त्यो टुल्स युज नगरेर अहिलेको बिग क्वेसन्स एकाउन्टेबिलिटी त लोकल गभर्मेन्ट के हो भने त्यहाँ फेरि तपाईँको चाहिँ करप्सनमा र कन्सेससमा चाहिँ फेरि यस्तो किसिमको चाहिँ त्यो कन्सेसस अफ द करप्सन के करप्सनमा यस्तो राम्रो सहमति हुन्छ र तपाईँको चाहिँ अरू चिजमा सेवा प्रवाह नगरीमा मल्टिपल पार्टीको चाहिँ राम्रो समन्वय हुने भयो त त्यहाँ चाहिँ सिभिक स्पेस चाहिँ घटेको छ। र अर्को महत्त्वपूर्ण कुरा के भने म चाहिँ अब अस्ति 6-7 महिना अगाडिसम्म डोनरमा काम गरेँ हुँदा अब सिभिल सोसाइटी भन्ने बित्तिकै अब 3-4वटा चिजमा हेर्नुपर्छ होला होइन। एउटा सिबिओ जुन तल बसेर काम गरिरहेका छन्, एउटा कहिलेकाहीँ माइतीघर मण्डलामा चाहिँ जम्मा भएर काम गर्ने होइन नागरिक समाज जुन हामी आज बढी माइतीघरका कुराहरू यहाँ गऱ्यौँ, विच इज नट ब्याड। अब त्योभन्दा पनि नेपालको सिभिल सोसाइटीको मुभमेन्टमा हामीले आमा समूहहरूले गरेको योगदान, वन उपभोक्ता समितिले गरेको योगदान, टोल ल्यान्ड अर्गनाइजेसनले गरेको योगदान अर्को किसिमले हेर्नुपर्छ भने हामीले नचाहेर पनि छुटाउन नहुने भनेको तपाईँको के हो भने एनजिओ र यिनीहरूको डिपेन्डेन्सी के भयो भने कम्प्लिट डोनरमा गयो। आई थिङ्क इज 100%, नट 100, क्लोज टु 100%। र स्टेटले उनीहरूको लागि रिसोर्सेस दिँदैन, रिसोर्सेस नदिइसकेपछि एजेन्डाहरू आउँदैन। अब यसलाई चाहिँ कसरी तपाईँको चाहिँ फर एक्जाम्पल इन्डियामा चाहिँ एनजिओलाई चाहिँ स्टेटले फन्डिङ गर्ने चलाउनुहुन्छ, त्यो भएर डोनर डिपेन्डेन्सी अर्को इस्यु हो। अब कहिलेकाहीँ आई थिङ्क द दिस द एनजिओ एन्ड द सिभिल सोसाइटी इज रियली प्लेइङ डबल रोल। कहिलेकाहीँ अब लोकल गभर्मेन्टले र फेडरल गभर्मेन्टले पनि उनीहरूलाई चाहिँ र डोनरहरूले सर्भिस प्रोभाइडरको रूपमा पनि रोल दिइरहेछन्। अर्कोतिर तपाईँको चाहिँ यो एडभोकेसीमा नै काम गर्ने भए हुँदा चाहिँ इज अ डबल रोल। त्यो भएर उनीहरूको चाहिँ क्लियर त्यति तपाईँको चाहिँ टिओआर पनि क्लियर नभएर कहीँ कतै इस्यु भएको कि भन्ने कुरा हो। र अर्को सबभन्दा महत्त्वपूर्ण कुरा इट्स अ भेरी इन्फर्मल मिटिङ, लेट्स ओपन। नेपालको एनजिओ गभर्नेन्स, एनजिओभित्रको एकाउन्टिङ र ट्रान्सपरेन्सी डरलाग्दो किसिमको छ, डरलाग्दो किसिमको छ। अब कहीँ कतै तपाईँको चाहिँ भेरी क्लियर एउटा इम्प्लोइलाई राख्छ, इम्प्लोइलाई राखेर उसले जति पाउने स्यालेरीको त्यति स्यालेरी उसले पाउँदैन। तपाईँको एउटा एक्जिक्युटिभ गभर्नेन्स र म्यानेजमेन्टका मान्छेहरू 2-2 वर्षमा चेन्ज गर्छन्, किनभने गभर्नेन्समा बसेका मान्छेले बेनिफिट पाउँदैन र म्यानेजमेन्टमा बसेकोले पाउँछ। यति धेरै अब त्यहाँ इन्क्लुजनका कुरा छन्। त्यो भएभन्दा अर्को इम्पोर्टेन्ट कुरा चाहिँ जहिले पनि हो, ठिक हो, राज्य अभिभावक हामी राज्यलाई प्रश्न उठाउनुपर्छ, राज्य पार्टीबाट सञ्चालित पार्टीलाई सक्नुहुन्छ, तर पनि सिभिक सोसाइटीले नि आफ्नो तर्फबाट हेर्दा यो एकाउन्टेबिलिटीको कुरा छ। डेफिनेटली डिजिटल स्पेसको कुरा चाहिँ अब मैले धेरै भनिनँ। अहिले म नेपालको चाहिँ यो डिजिटल एसेसमेन्ट र डिजिटलको इन्भेस्टमेन्ट प्लान बनाउँदैछु। यहाँ धेरै कुराहरू आयो। नाउ द सिभिक स्पेस इज ग्रेजुअली मुभिङ टु द डिजिटल स्पेस। देयर इज अ लट अफ द डिस्कसन वी क्यान डु द्याट। र अर्को तपाईँको चाहिँ अर्को मैले इस्यु देखेको के भने जो पब्लिक कमिटी मिनी पार्लियामेन्ट भनेर हामी चाहिँ हाउसमा भन्छौँ, मिनी पार्लियामेन्टहरूको सक्रियता चाहिँ मेरो विचारमा त्यति धेरै देखिँदैन। अब यो पार्टमा चाहिँ आजको डिस्कसनमा सरी मिलन अब टेक अवे अथवा नेक्स्ट स्टेप त्यति धेरै आउन सकेन। 3-4वटा चिज आयो त पनि धेरै क्रिस्टल क्लियर आएन। वाट आई लाइक टु रिक्वेस्ट टु द एनसिआइडी कि अबको यो चाहिँ तपाईँले सिरिज भन्नुभएको छ, आइ एम क्वाइट होपफुल होइन। यो चाहिँ सिरिज भने आउँदा चाहिँ अर्को सिरिजमा चाहिँ अलिकति टाइम लिएर ठ्याक्कै होइन दिज आर द स्टेप वी निड टु डु भन्ने हिसाबले चाहिँ बनाउने र त्यो बनाएर सायद स्टेटको डिफ्रेन्ट अर्गनहरूलाई चाहिँ हामीले दिन सक्यो भने त्यो चाहिँ निकै युजफुल हुन्छ होला। त्यो पार्टमा चाहिँ मैले चाहिँ अब उहाँहरूले भनेको कुरामा म त्यति धेरै गइनँ, त्यसमा मेरो सबैमा सहमति र अलिकति टेक अवे राम्रो आइदिएको भए हुन्थ्यो भन्ने कुरा हो। र एउटा कुरा लास्टमा मलाई के लाग्छ भने नेपालमा हामीले सिभिक स्पेस र सिभिल सोसाइटीको कुरा गर्दा अब मिडियाभित्रको इस्यु चाहिँ हाम्रो शिरोमणिजीले भन्नुभयो होइन। अब तपाईँको चाहिँ कति मालिकहरूले अप्ठ्यारो पार्छन्, सेन्सरसिपको इस्यु कति छ, इभन तपाईँको चाहिँ जर्नलिस्टहरूको चाहिँ आफ्नै भित्रको चाहिँ कति किसिमको विभाजन भएको छन् भन्ने कुरा थुप्रै आयो। तर पनि यति हुँदाहुँदै पनि नेपालको सिभिक स्पेस, नेपालको सिभिल सोसाइटीलाई यदि मिडियालाई छुट्टै राखेर हेर्ने हो भने स्थिति साँच्चीकै डरलाग्दो स्थिति देखिन्छ। त्यो स्थितिमा राज्य निरङ्कुश हुन्छ, चाहे त्यो युनाइटेड स्टेट्स होस् चाहे नेपालको होस्। राज्य नियन्त्रणमुखी हुन्छ, राज्य परम्परावादी हुन्छ, त राज्यको चरित्र हो। अब त्यसमा चाहिँ हामी सिभिल सोसाइटीकै मान्छेहरू अलिकति एक्टिभ भएर पोलिटिकल पार्टीलाई मोबिलाइज गर्न सक्यो भने, मैले पहिला भनेको असल अभ्यासहरूलाई चाहिँ अगाडि बढाउँदै लग्ने हो भने मलाई लाग्छ हाम्रो भविष्य चाहिँ सिभिक स्पेसको बारेमा त्यति धेरै चिन्ता गर्नुपर्ने चाहिँ देखिँदैन, तर चाहिँ गर्नुपर्ने कुराहरू थुप्रै छ। धन्यवाद।